Hello, I'm Willie Franks, the owner and CEO of Franks International Footwear, and I would like to send a shout out to Black Men Walking for the excellent work that you guys are doing in the community. And to this year's recipient, I salute you and I honor you and I commend you for your dedication. Thank you.
What's good, everybody? It's Dr. Dapper checking in.
It's your man Levi Lawrence the third.
Hey, and we're two of the founding fathers of Illumione.
Illumione!
Say that loud and proud.
Illumione!
Want to send a big congratulations to Gabriel for having another Black Men's Walking Gala. You know, it's a lot of stuff he's been through, so congratulations on getting through all that. We're here for you always, man.
Yeah.
Much love from LA. Sorry we couldn't be there. We out here hustling, making stuff happen for the event we got coming this summer. But stay fly. You know, keep hustling, keep it going, and we looking forward to the next one next year. We'll see.
Wish we could be there. We'll be at the next one though.
I'll be at the next one
For sure.
So we'll see you this summer, fam.
All right.
Peace.
Hey, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. My name is AJ Holmes. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. I'm an entrepreneur. Shout out to Gabe for the Black Men Walking. Hey, thank you for showing love. I appreciate you guys.
All right. If you're enjoying the food tonight, make some noise. We're going to continue the award ceremony and now take a moment to acknowledge the Black Men in Business Award. Well, the nominees are Mr. Ronnie Williams, Mr. Algin Albritton Jr., Mr. Christopher Sawyer, and the winner is this year's Black Men in Business Award winner goes to Mr. Christopher Sawyer.
Black men to come out here and celebrate one another. Especially for the accomplishments that we've done, and so far, it's been a journey. A lot of times we see adversities as something to stop us from doing things that we try to do in the community. So for me, every time I've heard a no, it's actually pushed me to hear a yes. And so far, it's been a journey. I'm just thankful for my family, my fiance, support me along the way, my children, being a motivation for what I do right now. This year is going to be awesome. We have a lot of stuff in store for Jacksonville. Just thankful, just blessed to be able to stand up here in front of you all and just see some stuff. I never won anything in my life, so to me, this is more than just an award. I'm just thankful. I just appreciate the time you guys took out to acknowledge some of us in the community, and I just want to tell you thank you from the bottom of my heart. Appreciate it.
And up next, it is now time to honor the Black men in law. The Black Men Walking 2020 nominees are Mr. Reginald Reeves, Mr. James Terrell, and Mr. Reginald Lovely. And the winner is our 2020 Black Men Walking in Law Award goes to Mr. James Terrell.
I want the money,
considered to be nominated. I'm honored to win and just to be among these great men doing great things. As a young man, just to be in this room is an absolute blessing. It's an absolute honor to my parents who are here, to my mom, my dad, my other mom, and to my beautiful wife. I am just absolutely honored. Just like I'm thankful for the opportunity to work for the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office as a corrections officer. Every day I walk to that jail, it's not just a job for me. I don't treat the inmates like they're inmates or just animals. I take it serious. I go there every day desiring to give those guys hope, inspiration, encouragement, and I use it as a ministry opportunity, and I'm just thankful for that. For the opportunity to mentor young men. I see it as an investment in their future, and I am just absolutely honored and just thankful. So just want to say thank you.
At this time, we're going to have some spoken word by a young man I've known for a very long time. He's been a part of the entertainment culture here in Jacksonville. You can catch him at the Art Walk. Mr. Maul Jones, if you're here. My brother.
That mic, we've been fighting for this mic for years, my brother. How y'all doing tonight? Everybody good? My name is Maul Jones, and like my man G was saying, I've known him for years. Like I've been a part of the artist community in Jacksonville, and been out here in the streets with these brothers that rap, and I've seen a lot of things going on, especially with the current situation of the crime in Jacksonville. And, I just want to be a spokesperson for that, and show them that we can just conquer all adversities through our own culture, through our own way, our own traditions. And this piece right here is about my family. Rest in peace to my mother and father who couldn't be here tonight. My grandmother, my sister, my brother. I lost a lot of people on this road to just being positive and doing positive work in my community. And I'm gonna tell y'all about this little thing I created called The Lyricist Live, okay? Y'all ready for that? All right, so. The Lyricist Live, a community freestyle cipher I started in 2011 as an ode to the golden era of rap, the hip-hop 90s. See, the 90s was a fine era in time where we would get together and rhyme to expand each other's minds, and I wanted to take us back to that time. A time that when the DJs played in the park, a time that when the 80s birthed in the Bronx, a phenomenon that bonded the whole community together. The message was peace, love, having fun, and unity forever. So as 2011 passes and this cipher makes a statement, the Florida Folklight program sees the purpose in my preservation. 2012 to 2013, it was clear to those who know art. That's the year state folklorist Blaine Wade recognized my style as folk art. And I became the first freestyle rap folk artist in history. Just doing the things that every black kid did. It's been around for half a century. Founded by a Jamaican immigrant. It's significant because that energy brought African Americans and Latinos together to solve a crime problem collectively. You see, the South Bronx in the 70s suffered an economic crisis. Crews ran rampant through abandoned buildings. Gangs were left to their own vices. Under Gerald Ford's presidency, streets lay destitute and torn. And around all this in 1976, me and my twin sister was born, while hip-hop culture took on its form. You see, my pops was a poet and a jazz player. Had me on reciting Shakespeare on stage when I was 5. He passed away and left notes he wrote behind that gave me a sense of pride. Mom was a revolutionary from New Orleans who saw segregation in 55 Vowed to move out north to NYC where black families could thrive. She had 4 boys, I made 5. I was her youngest out of 8. Make it there, we make it anywhere. You know the phrase, we should be straight. She did everything that a mother could to protect us during these times, but she could never predict the upcoming crack epidemic of 85. Unemployment, record high. People struggling to survive. 75% of black teens with no job is do or die. Government tax breaks for the rich and more cutbacks for the poor. President Reagan was an actor, so I see why he cut us more. Graffiti artists like Keith Haring even got involved in the fight. Crack is whack is what he wrote. See how that rhymed? It caught on, right? Self-destruction is self-destruction. That was the message that resonated. They said just say no to drugs, but messages through art related. Elevated my mind state and helped me with memorization. Mama moved us off the block trying to avoid the devastation. She got my twin sis and my bro out the city just in time to watch crack consume her daughter and my brother serve his time. While in prison, he wrote me rhymes. He told me I'd be great in Florida. Mom's struggling without pops. I got to be the man supporting her. It was torture for a couple months because we had no home. I met Duval kids who spit legit and gripped the microphone. Showed me I wasn't alone, man. We were plagued across state lines. Mostly what we had in common was this culture and these rhymes. Finished high school just in time for mom to see me graduate. It made her glad, man. Shortly after that, she met my dad and passed away. She left me and Jackson. That's where I saw this cycle just continues. Prisons consuming black men like melanin was on the menu. So I brought my brothers onto the block to start up a conversation. Speak a truth that's told without most of the miscommunication. No cursing, kids are watching. Be a leader with dictation. Put positive energy into it and you can change your situation. Poetry my father showed to me at just the age of 5. Took me across the sea years later to do Shakespeare in my prime. Use my gift to uplift others. Can't be selfish with my shine. Use my words to plant seeds. I can't be out here wasting time. That's the message of my family and the story in my grind. Support the arts, cause that's what kept this lyricist alive. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I just wanted to and thank you, Gene, because Gene knows this story all too well, and just being a part of Jacksonville hip-hop culture, I've been a part of and seen a lot of my brothers pass away and been a victim of gun violence. That's just a part of the culture, you know, and we are, me, Gene, Gabe, we are the brothers, all these brothers in here are the brothers that we see, that touches our heart, and we want to be people that advocate against it and do something to change the situation, you know what I'm saying? So I use art, my man Christopher Clark, he uses art, like we all use our own vices to speak to our people, man. And I just want to congratulate all the brothers here just for being here, just being an outstanding member of your community, because it speaks volumes to me. I got a 16-year-old son named Jabari, and he looks up to y'all. He grew up in this because he's doing what I'm doing. So on top of just seeing me as a role model, he sees all my friends and all my brothers and all y'all as role models. So I just want to say thank you to all of y'all, man, for having me and being who y'all are, and I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Maul Jones. Which brings us to the next category, Black Men in Arts. where the nominees are Algeray Fennell, Maul Jones, and Chris Clark. And the winner is Chris Clark.
I wasn't expecting this, so I didn't prepare any words today. I just want to say that I'm honored to be here among so many great black men in the community. And as a visual artist, growing up, I wasn't taught much about many black artists, or many artists that look like me. And so that's why it's important for me to do what I'm doing, so that kids from the younger generations can see somebody who looks like them doing what they aspire to do. I think a lot of times in the black community, arts are not looked at as like a viable career. And so I just want to show everybody, young people and everybody, that you can do it, and just believe in yourself and work hard. You can take it anywhere. Like I have artwork all around the city, all around the country. Maul Jones and I have artwork in South Africa right now, so all started with a dream and with a passion, and I'm just happy that I'm able to share that with the younger generations and the community of Jacksonville. Thank you.
And now we take a minute to recognize the nominees in Black Men in Medicine. And the nominees are Mr. Albert Chester II, Mr. Don Smiley Jackson, and Mr. Khalil Osborne. And the winner is Mr. Don Jackson.
Man, first of all, I didn't know we had to speak, but come on the dome with this one. First of all, I'd like to thank God, man, just for the opportunity, man, just being able to wake up and do what I do every day to help the city of Jacksonville. Second of all, I'd like to thank the gentleman who put this beautiful black man walking thing together, because it's not very often that we get honored for things we do. So we make the news for everything but the good things. So at this point, like, I really feel honored to be able to celebrate with all of the black men here and their families. So thank you. Second of all, I'd like to thank everybody that voted. That voted win, right? So everybody that voted, if I know you, I don't know you, thank you so much for it. I'd like to thank my family and all my friends that's here, man, that show so much love and support. So tell everybody what I do. In the city of Jacksonville, I have the largest mental health company in Northeast Florida. We employ over 80 plus people. But with that being said, mental health, that is a real epidemic right now. Like, people not really taking it serious, but I take it serious. 1 in 5 adults suffer from mental health issues. So at the table, we're sitting at 10, right? So based on the numbers, 2 people probably got an issue going on that they don't want to talk about. And we ain't gonna claim it. But those are serious issues that we take lightly. 38% of inmates that go into the prison system now are diagnosed with mental health illnesses. So my thing is, if we catch it on the onset, we can cut back on the incarceration rate if we handle them on the outside. All right, so that's what I do. Again, I'm honored, man. I thank everybody. I am a little nervous. I never get nervous. I am a little nervous, but thank you, and I'm grateful.
Thank you. Mental health is real. Really, just talk to me, man. Just talk to me. You feel me, man? Just talk to me. Just let it out. All right. As the awards continue, we now honor the black men in sports. The nominees are Mr. Ivan Jennings, Mr. Bernard Nugent, and Mr. Jerron Neesmith. And the winner is Mr. Ivan Jennings.
Thank you. I'm a coach. I do athletic things, but I do it behind the scenes. Don't really like all of that credit type stuff. As long as all of the kids get the credit, I'm good. And this one right here, because of all of those kids that I coached, taught, mentored, it made it kind of easy on me to be able to deal with her. And every time I win, from district championships to AAU tournaments, she's always with me. So, you know, there are some great guys that are co-parenting as a parent, and I'm one of them. And I salute all of those that are out there that are not with their mother. So, thank y'all, and I appreciate it.
He humbly forgot to mention that he coaches at the William Marion Rains Senior High School, school number 165, Itchy Barn. I could give you the history of that school, Corey, but I won't do that today. Back-to-back state champs, I couldn't say that. Graduated 95 percentile with seniors, I can say that. Reebok, y'all gonna be all right tonight, or we got problems?
D-Reebok.
Okay. All right. I'm only gonna speak facts. This is facts tonight. At this time, we're gonna have a young lady to come up and bless us. We got a special performance. Give her a round of applause. Miss Jasmine Riley, and she's a violinist. She is Jasmine Ryan. At this time, it is now time to award the Lifetime Achievement Awardee. A Jacksonville, Florida native, Alton W. Yates received his bachelor's degree in sociology from Florida International University and his master's in urban studies from Occidental College. While serving in the U.S. Air Force at the Aeromedical Field Laboratory, Mr. Yates rode high-speed rockets over 65 times when he participated in numerous aerospace research experiments. He was given national and international acclaim, including features in Ebony and Jet magazine for his contributions to America's space program. Mr. Yates' career path including working at the U.S. Postal Service, executive director of several organizations, and several governor-appointed positions, including on the Florida Education Council and chairman of the Board of Trustees of FCCJ from 1988 to 1990. After leaving the Air Force in 1959, Mr. Yates became involved in the civil rights movement by leading in the Youth Council of the National Advancement of Colored People. On August 27, 1960 in Jacksonville, Florida, Alton Yates was a part of a sit-in that turned violent, later known as Axe Handle Saturdays. Alton and his wife Gwen Yates have been married for over 50 years, have 2 children together and 3 grandchildren. Mr. Yates is also a member and lecturer of Holy Rosary Catholic Church and a 4th degree Knight of Columbus. Join us tonight in honoring Alton W. Yates for all his accomplishments and contributions to our community.
Hello, my name is Gabriel Rogers with Black Man Walking. I have the pleasure of sitting here with Mr. Alton Yates. First of all, I just want to say thank you for allowing us to come in your home today to speak with you. I know that you'll probably have a speech prepared for next Saturday night on the 18th in regards to receiving this year's Lifetime Achievement Award. But I just wanted to sit down with you, get to know you a little bit better and ask you a few questions. Is that okay?
Sure, be fine.
All righty. Well, one of the first questions that I want to ask, and we try to ask this to our recipients every year. We think, first of all, that it's very important that our generation comes in contact with the older generation. And so with us doing work in the community, with us trying to be positive in our communities, we think that it's very important that we bridge the gap between ourselves and the people who come before us. And so my question to you, Mr. Yates, would be, how do we bridge the gap between ourselves and your generation?
Well, the simple answer, of course, would be to maintain communication with those who have been considered trailblazers, sort of thing. be certain that there is open lines and channels of communication, that there are opportunities for interactions for the younger generation and those of us who have, I like to call the seasoned generation, have an opportunity to get to know each other, to understand each other, and to seek advice. Even though we are considered older and wiser, we still have to seek advice from time to time from people who are perhaps younger, who are different, but there is nothing wrong with that, nothing at all. So keeping open lines of communication are critically important, I think, for all of us, for the benefit of our society as a whole.
How do you feel about our generation now? Do you see any positive as far as the endeavors of our current generation, the people that are coming up behind you?
Actually, I'm very much encouraged by what I see with the younger generation. In fact, I often say to my wife, I wish I were as smart as they are when I was their age. I think I could probably have done so many things that I would like to do and can't do, simply because just didn't have that kind of knowledge and understanding. But this is, I think, the future of our country, the future of our race, the future of our people is going to be very bright because of the kind of young people that I get a chance to meet every day. They're wise, they're smart, they're engaged, they're intuitive, they want to know, they're dreamers, and they believe that in order to make those dreams come true, that they have to work for it, and they don't seem to mind working. I think that they're going to be very successful in helping us to do those kinds of things that my generation only dreamt about. So I'm very much encouraged. Now, that is not to say that there aren't some problems out there. We do have some young people who are engaged in the wrong way.
Right.
And that is unfortunate, something that we have to pay close attention to. But for the most part, what I see is a generation of young people who are engaged in trying to do that which is in the best interest, not only of themselves and their families, but our community as a whole.
Okay. I hear some of the current leaders speaking on civil rights movement, or the early civil rights movement, in regards to integration, as far as fighting for inclusion. And I've heard opinions, and I may share some of them, some I agree with, some I don't, that they feel as though as a people we were better off before we started fighting for inclusion. In hindsight, looking back on some of your efforts through the early civil rights movement, what would be your opinion at this point? Was it worth it?
Not only was it worth it, it was the most important endeavor any race could ever engage in. To those who say we were better off prior to fighting for integration, fighting for inclusion, I would say to them, I wish they had had an opportunity to walk just a few steps in my shoes, to see what it was like to have to step off the sidewalk to allow white people to pass, to see what it was like when you had to go to the back of the bus when there was standing room only, to see what it was like to be called a boy when you were a grown man, or to see your grandmother mistreated by young white people. To say that we were better off prior to fighting for integration, prior to desegregating schools and facilities and that sort of thing. Well, to those who want to believe that, by all means, have at it. But I lived it, and I know what it was like, and there was absolutely no way I would ever want to go back to those kinds
Now, August 27th of this year, 2020, marks the 60-year anniversary of Axe Handle Saturday.
Yes.
You personally were involved in that particular event. You're one of the key leaders in that event. And could you speak on that for us? Because just like we were speaking off camera, prior to maybe last year, I had no idea what that was, never heard of it. I grew up in Jacksonville all my life. And I think it's something that people need to know about. I think it's something that we should definitely speak about and share because it helps us along the way as far as our progression, knowing where we come from. So could you speak about Axe Handle Saturday and have we progressed since that point?
Well, I'm going to say something now that will perhaps sound strange, but it might not be bad that there are a lot of people who don't know about Axe Handle Saturday, who don't know why it occurred. And I think that in itself speaks to the kind of progress that we made. To think that our young people, our young children growing up, young adults, don't know what it's like to be refused service at a lunch counter. That's good. They've never been refused service simply because of their race or their gender, that sort of thing. And that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Had we been able to have access to all of the public amenities, such as being able to walk into a restaurant, sit down and be seated and not looked upon as being different, we never would have had to demonstrate during civil rights movement. There would never have been the need for civil rights movement had people been treated equal all the time. But they weren't.
Right.
And as a result of that, those of us who were living those experiences, we either had to take action to change those kinds of conditions, or we would be living today under conditions of involuntary servitude. And as a young man growing up in this city, a city I loved, a city that, I was willing to risk my life for in the military, there was absolutely no way I was going to allow myself to continue to be treated as if I was a second-class citizen. Just absolutely no way. So Axe Handle Saturday was necessary. The demonstrations were necessary. I don't know that the violence that resulted from the demonstrations was necessary. Violence never seems to solve anything, in my opinion. But it was necessary for us to change those conditions so that people coming after us would not have to undergo the same kind of struggle that we did.
Right. Okay. Now, before we got on camera, you actually brought out a picture in regards to the demonstrations here. You pointed out some familiar folk to you. And I don't know, do you have that shot? Okay. And so now this is a picture of...
This is a picture of the demonstration at Woolworth store where the violence took place. And in the picture is Rodney Hurst, who was the president of the NAACP Youth Council. And I was vice president of the NAACP Youth Council. And the people standing around are members of the press. This is Eric Simpson, who was publisher of the Florida Star. And Mr. Simpson was probably one of our most ardent supporters. And wherever we were, whatever we needed, he was there to support us and give us the kind of backing that we need. But seated around the lunch counter are other students who were actively involved in all of the demonstrations that we did. And as a result of their effort, their bravery, their willingness to put themselves out, we were able to change conditions in Jacksonville. This was the beginning of a new Jacksonville.
Right.
And I think without this kind of effort, we might, well, who knows where we might be today. But as a result of what we were able to accomplish there, we were able to make some meaningful changes in the growth and development and the maturation of the city of Jacksonville.
Wow. Now, and this was taken about a week before Axe Handle?
This was the weekend before Axe Handle demonstration. I want to think about the 19th of the 20th of August. See, I was married on the 19th, and we had a demonstration on the 20th.
Right.
And I think this was the demonstration of the 20th of August. But the following week was when we had the breakout of the Axe Handles and baseball games.
Wow. Okay. Let's set this down here. So in closing, just want to ask you, is there anything else that you would like to speak to or just share? Something that someone may be in the room next Saturday may be able to take with them, or may actually motivate them or inspire them to continue doing the work?
Well, one I hope will inspire those who have stepped up to continue the efforts that we started. I hope there is a sense of togetherness. I hope that they will understand that love bridges the gap between all of the various disparities that we have. If we can look at each other with a sense of brotherhood and sisterhood, and if we can see in the face of each other the kind of image that we would like to reflect to the world, and if we pledge ourselves to do everything in our power to make this society much better than the one we found, then of course we can achieve the kinds of goals that we hope to, that will help all of our people to live a good and decent life. And I believe, based upon what I have seen thus far, that we are moving in that direction. Unfortunately, we're not moving as fast as I would like to see us move, but at least we're continuing to move toward that ultimate goal of achieving satisfaction, freedom, justice, equality for all of our people. That is critical.
Well, Mr. Yates, I thank you so much for having us over. Again, we are pleasured and honored to have you, to be able to honor you this year for our Black Men Walking Gala as our Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Again, we just want to say thank you, sir.
The pleasure is all mine, and thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate your story.
All right, thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Alton W. Yates.
No one ever does anything on his or her own. And I'm standing here as a recipient of this award this evening because of all of those brave and wonderful people who were there to demonstrate with us, those who year for us were there to assist us in the cause of getting men and women into space. But most of all, because of the wonderful teachers and educators I had coming up through the school system in Duval County. were a segregated school system, but believe me, the teachers in that segregated school system loved us as if we were their own children. And they decided that whatever it took to help us to become successful individuals, they would give it. And many dug in their own pockets to see to it that we had the kind of education that would allow us to be successful in our endeavors. I mentioned those who helped bring us to this point. There's absolutely no way on earth I could be where I am had it not been for the lady who said yes to me 59 years ago, my wonderful wife, the wind beneath my wings, and she is the reason I am who I am today. And with my wife, Gwen, is one of the early professors at Edward Waters College, where I originally started my formal education. Dr. Bernard, in fact, Dr. And let me just say a thing or two about the young people who I meet on a daily basis and who has the awesome responsibility of continuing the efforts that were started so many years ago by those of us who were pioneers in the struggle. You are bright, you are beautiful, you are achieving, you are wonderful, and we know that we have a safe and secure future as long as you're there to advocate for us. So on behalf of those of us who came before you, God bless you and God speed all of you in your endeavors. And thank you again for this prestigious award. I am deeply honored.
And now I'm going to turn it over to the gentleman, the visionary, him and the rest of the Black Men Walking Inc. committee. Put your hands together for Mr. Gabe Rochus.
Hey, this that Eastside Jelly Big Redemption Light. No jump up. Hold up. Get out the way.
How y'all doing tonight? First, just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I thank y'all. Some of y'all have been kind of riding a little bit. Y'all know how this is can be a bit much sometimes trying to put it together. But we believe in what we're doing, and it's always a good thing when we have people come out to support your brothers. We started this thing. This is our 3rd year. We started Black Men Walking 2.5 years ago. We are a 501c3, and we started because we felt like brothers didn't have a support system. And I saw so many different causes and organizations out in the community, but I just didn't feel like we had something. So we started something 2.5 years ago, where what we do at the first of the year is the Black Men Walking Gala, where we honor brothers who give back to the community. We don't care what you've done personally, what you've done professionally. It's all about brothers who are from our communities who give back to our communities. So this is our way of saluting you. So please give a round of applause for our brothers for this year. The other thing that we do is we do our annual suit drive, where we collect suits for brothers who are applying for jobs, who don't have suits for interviews, or brothers who may need suits for field of study if they're in college. One of the biggest things that we continuously do is I had gone through a legal situation with one of my sons. I got all 3 of my boys in here tonight, but one of my boys, went back and forth to court for 2 years. And if y'all been around Black Men Walking and been around me, you already know the story. Went 2.5 years going back and forth, just trying to get my name on the birth certificate. And prior to that point, I just assumed that the father was not involved with his kids. That meant that he was a deadbeat. Well, when I personally went through a situation myself, I found out that was not necessarily always true. That there are brothers who have been beaten up by the system. I had a situation where I had 2 lawyers turn me down. They wouldn't even take my money. They basically told me that the way the system looks as a father, they look at the father as the sponsor, the mother as the nurturer. Now, growing up in the black community, a lot of us already know the system thinks that way. But to have someone tell me that just added fuel to my fight. And I fought for 2.5 years, and I finally got rights to my son. But when I went through that, I basically went to the poorhouse behind it. And I said, you know what, when I get a chance, I want to have an organization where we help brothers out with legal fees. And so what Black Men Walking does, in addition to the other causes, is we actually help with those fees. Now, fast forward, that was 4 or 5 years ago. I told you 2.5 years ago we started Black Men Walking. Well, me, co-founder, president of Black Men Walking, you know, things was moving smooth, you know, going through my everyday, my same old, same old. In August of 2019, a week before school started, that same son went to go visit his mom, and he went missing for 2 months. Now here it is, I just told you all, 4 or 5 years ago, I got rights for my child. Basically on paper, we had joint custody. Here it is, August of 2019, he goes to visit his mother, and for 2 months, I didn't know where my son was. Now mind you, I fought, I'm on paperwork, but still the system did not care that I had rights to my child. So weekly, I saw my court date get pushed back a week, pushed back a week, pushed back a week. And after 2 months, we finally went to court. Attorney Vernon Jackson is not in here tonight, but we went to court, and now I'm blessed to say that I actually have full custody of that son. Now, if you don't know what Black Men Walking is about, that's what Black Men Walking is about. The same avenues, the same things that we help brothers with, those were the same avenues that I went through. So I'm a living testimony that what we do works. We believe in what we do, and we're going to continue to do the work that we do. Another thing that we do is during the holiday season, we also normally do like Thanksgiving baskets for brothers who may be in need. We understand that brothers can be prideful sometimes. They don't necessarily want to go stand on line and get a handout. So what we do is we'll discreetly through different agencies. I know last year we did DCF. The year before that we did another agency where we distribute Thanksgiving baskets, turkeys, fixing the whole nine to brothers, fathers in need who may be lacking in their household. And so that's what we do. And it's an array of things that we do outside of that, because at the beginning of 2019, I realized not only was it important for us to be a support system for brothers in the community, but it's just as important for the community to see brothers giving back. So not only do we help brothers out, but we also give back. Pleased to say that I have my AD, Athletic Director, Mr. Paul Bryan, in the building. Can you bring your hand? That's my AD, EWC. That is the Athletic Director here. And I'm pleased to say that Black Men Walking has worked closely with Edward Waters College, and we want to continue not only work with Edward Waters, but we want to continue to work with the community. So you may not hear our name all the time or see us for photo ops, but we've actually done a lot of stuff in the community. So I'm glad that you all came out tonight, because I chuckle sometimes because people hear about the Gala and think we're promoters or something. They just throw a party once a year and don't realize that we're an actual organization. So I'm pleased to say that we have just concluded the 2020 Black Men Walking Gala. We got a few minutes. I know Beanie the Maestro is going to run us a couple tunes. I want everybody to network. We've had so many great collaborations, and our relationships grow as a result of this particular function. And we want to exchange contact information, and we want to continue to love on each other, and I just look forward to seeing y'all next year. Thank you.
We gon' love anything alright. You call it. Come on, baby. Hey, you a baby, I'm living my best life. Ain't gonna make it for you. I'm living my best life. Ain't gonna make it.
Also, I'm sorry. I got to do some shout outs, but I got in so much trouble last year. Because I get up and I get to talk, man, I'll be forgetting my shout out, y'all. I'm sorry. So first of all, I want to shout out our host, Gene.com, our DJ, Beanie the Maestro. Also want to shout out our decorator this year, Miss Michelle Cohen from Cohen Events. We got a lot of love tonight. Miss Michelle slaved and worked hard, and she worked me hard. And I was glad just to be a part of that process too. And I just want to thank anybody that's attached to this function tonight. I want to thank our team. They don't like talking. I want people to know that it's not, Black Man Walking is not just Gabe Rozier. We actually have Craig Watts, co-founder and treasurer. Raise your hand, Craig. We have Joseph Simmons. Raise your hand, Joseph. We have ActionGene.com is on our board of directors. He likes to omit. Okay, you go. Okay, Adrian Bracey is on our board of directors. Shamice Patterson. Where you at, Shamice? And it seems like I'm missing one more. Who am I missing? Marcus Orr. Where Marcus Jr. at? Marcus Hyde. Well, Marcus Orr. So I just want to thank you all. And like I said, I get jumped on every year. I honestly forget my shout out. So go ahead and roll it. Go ahead and roll it.